welcome to Real Talk with Michael Aguirre and Travis Vaughn. This is the COVID-19 edition, so we're doing it via Zoom, and we're hoping to get some information out there to buyers and sellers that are on the market. And really the first question that I have is, what can sellers expect right now?
Well, Travis, as your property is currently for sale, why don't you lead off with what you've been doing?
Yeah, so I kind of have a unique perspective on this because as a real estate broker, I'm also trying to sell my house. We listed our house, I don't know, like 4 weeks ago, right as all of this COVID stuff was starting to really spread and become a pandemic. And, it didn't stop me from listing the house. Now I have adjusted my expectations, but, I didn't see that there would be any harm in putting the property out there. I had it ready and I've been planning for almost 6 months to list this property. I mean, I started this project last summer when we got the house painted and we got our rock wall built up higher, and we asphalted our driveway, the lower end of our driveway. And, my wife and I had decided about a year ago that we wanted to build on a lot that we have here in town. And, being a real estate broker, I know I really only have one shot to make a good first impression. And so even though I wanted to put the house on the market almost 6-8 months ago, I knew that I needed to do some things to the house. It was in need of a paint job. I needed to replace some appliances. As I said, there was some landscaping that we wanted to do and really just make the house look its best. And that takes time. And I think a lot of sellers that might be frustrated right now need to embrace the opportunity to get some of this deferred maintenance, accomplished. Whether you want to wait to list it or you want to list it now, there's nothing else going on. And I would like to really thank Spenard's, True Value, Napa Auto Store, that these businesses have remained open and, with some precautions and caveats, but I've really appreciated the fact that I could still pick up the phone and order something from True Value or go into Spenard's to find a 5-cent washer that my whole project is waiting on, and that I can still go and do that. And certainly there's some inconveniences. It takes longer and we got to, stay 6 feet apart. And, patience is definitely part of the prescription here. And if you're a seller and you're feeling a little bit frustrated because your house is on the market and it's not getting a lot of action right now, or you were just about to list like I was just about to list, been working for months, and then COVID happens. Well, my advice as a real estate broker is the same that I'm doing myself. I went ahead and listed the house. And I'm still improving it. I'm going to, paint the garage next week. Not exactly something that's going to be high on your list to do as far as improvements to the house in order to sell it, but it is something that needs to be done. And, replacing the smoke alarms is another one that I'm working on. That people just, these little projects that you shove off, maybe it's time.
Yeah, I see over your right shoulder, there's a smoke alarm missing.
Yes, there's a smoke alarm dangling. And so the problem that I ran into is that the form factor has changed. So this house was built in 2008, and the date here on the smoke alarm is February 2007. And a lot of people don't know you're only going to get about 10 years out of these guys. And then they really start to, the detectors in them start to degrade and they don't work right anymore. And these things were starting to pop off in the middle of the night. And it wasn't because the battery was dead. It was because the detector itself is starting to fade. So really, about every 10 years, more or less, you should go ahead and replace these. But the problem I ran into is the little plug in the back. They don't make that form factor for the plug. So unless I want to rewire all these little plugs in my house, and I got about 10 of these, which is a little too much project, I reached out to the manufacturer, and I'm having to get these special shipped, the kind that fit into the form factor. But, instead of being frustrated by that, I kind of had the attitude of, well, I'm glad that I had the opportunity to do it. It's not like I'm, super busy. It's not like we're, we've got 5 people lined up to see the house. I don't expect that. But what I can do is use my time well and try to improve my property while we're all waiting for this pandemic to clear. And honestly, it's good for my mental health. It's good to have something to do. It's good to have a purpose. And I put my kids to work and helping with me and, do these chores. And now they're learning how to maintain a house. And this is something I would not have had time for 3 months ago.
Well, and you're also improving your equity.
Right.
A house that looks better. And when we were broadcasting over KIFW several years ago, Real Talk, that's one of the drums we beat every time the topic came up. Get your house ready. Yep. So I don't know if you knew this. I mentioned it to Keith, but I also was going to put a house on the market. My tax guy told me at the beginning of the year that I've got a little rental that it's time to sell. It's looking good. It's all fixed up inside and outside, new roof, blah, blah, blah. And it's paid off. So I said, well, all right, I'll put it on the market this spring. So I went ahead and Ted Laufenberg just went over there on Friday to do an engineer's report to give me a look from a professional structural engineer to see if there was anything I could head off at the pass, get done before I got it marketed. In the meantime, the Sitka Vacations called me and said, well, we have a medical practitioner that would like to rent the place for a couple of months. And I'm going, oh, okay, well, number one, it's a medical practitioner that needs a place. I mean, Do I want, at this time in our nation's history, do I want to say, nah, go stay in a hotel? Right. And number two, they're willing to pay the fee. So it's like, okay, fine. So I haven't put it on the market yet. But that's one of the things that every seller needs to determine when they actually want their place put on the market. I was talking to one of my sellers who probably worked on his house for 8 months. I was probably talking to him back in June of last year-ish, July, and he got everything looking fine, and we put a sign out in front, and of course the snow hadn't melted off yet, and people weren't really clamoring to get out of the house. And he texted me the other day and said, so probably not much activity. And I said, no. I said, there's not much activity, but what we are doing is we're finding that buyers are, because they're stuck at home, they're taking tours online. And right. I spent probably an hour and 15 minutes earlier, well, not this month, it was last month, with some buyers that are moving into town. They're not even getting here till June, but I gave them some what I'm calling phone tours of homes, because a video tour only does so much. The pictures only do so much. You tell them about the approach and the weather at that end of the road and the view across the street and all the other stuff that when you've known about the houses, the history of the houses for decades, you got a lot of stuff to share. So that's what I see that real estate agents are doing is they're at home like everybody else is. They're willing to give you a tour, no problem.
Or at least talk to you.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's, so, what I'm hearing from you, Michael, is kind of the same tactic that I took, which is, I'm not letting COVID stop me from listing, although I have certainly lowered my expectations, and you would be foolish not to. I mean, this is a very uncertain environment. We don't know when the economy is going to be restarted. But I think sellers sometimes get too wrapped up in the things that they can't control. And then they don't focus on the things that they can. And, you had talked about, pictures. And I've been harping on this for a while, that pictures are so, so important. And I would have had this house listed, back in the late winter, early fall of 2019, had I not delayed things for better pictures, because there's too much snow, things weren't ready, I was busy, had to schedule with the photographer. It probably took us, honestly, 6 weeks to get the house ready for pictures. And then we'd take a few pictures one day because it was a nice day, and then we'd take a few more. And so we did it in stages, but I didn't launch the listing, as tempting as it was. And that's why I think it's good for us as realtors to be in our clients' shoes, because I felt the same itch that I know my clients feel all the time. I want to get listed. I want to get listed. And you really have to have some discipline. You have to be disciplined about, I need this property to look its best starting in day one. I can't worry about the economy. I can't do anything about interest rates. I can't do anything about COVID, whatever else is going on in the world, even the local economy. We're contributors to it, but we don't, by and large, I can't fix the fishing season if it's bad. So I can't worry about those things. What I can do is I can make sure that my house looks great when it's launched. And I would challenge people to listening to this, not to plug my own house, but go to our website at Living Sitka and look at my house. It's 315 Eliason Loop, and look at the pictures of that house compared, to some of the other listings. Now, keep in mind, this is the same professional photographer that we use for all of our listings, but you can see the difference in the way the broker would present his house and some of our clients do it. And honestly, this is where we're only so helpful. We can give you the advice, but if you don't really follow it, or for whatever reason you can't, then realize that that's going to hurt your chances. So I know as a broker, it's better to wait on launching my listing and making sure it looks great than to not. And again, this is all going to be taken now in the context of COVID, which is, hey, I could be kicking myself and saying, well, I should have just rushed it and gone with some mediocre pictures back in December, and maybe I would have had an offer and sold before this whole economic disaster occurred. I'm not second guessing myself at all, because I know I'm playing the long game. The house looks great and we're enjoying it. That's the other thing. I mean, I've got the house fixed up and we're stuck here and we're getting to enjoy it. And so, don't second guess yourself. Get the house, get your property looking the best it can, and just lower your expectations and be patient.
All right. Any other, words of advice of what sellers can expect in this type of a market?
I don't have anything. Travis has pretty much said it all.
The only thing I would add is maybe sellers need to give a little thought to, do you really want to accommodate showings? Because that probably is something that your realtor needs to know. If you are really worried, or maybe you're a high risk individual to COVID, and you just don't want people to see the house right now, I would still encourage you to have it on the market, because I have no problem telling somebody, listen, I would love to sell you this house, but I don't want to show it right now. And I have an elderly person in my house, or someone with, illness, or I'm just really worried about COVID. We can show it at another date. It's no reason to take it off the market. I would, I would be frank if you're uncomfortable at this time. And again, I don't think that hurts your chances. I think everybody kind of understands. And that's one of the nicer things about crisis in this country, is that we tend to quit bickering so much and pull together. And so I think people will be understanding.
Well, I think that if somebody called me up and said they wanted to see Travis's house tomorrow, as a real estate agent, I would say, well, let me check on that showing for you. Some sellers have requested that buyers take their shoes off at the door, Purell their hands. There will be a bottle of Purell there for you to use. All the lights will be on. All the doors will be open. You won't have to touch anything. Don't lean on the counters. There won't be any cookies for you to eat. But, well, I mean, that's a common practiced it. I look
Right.
forward.
COVID cookies with a little sprinkle of COVID for you. Not a good idea right now.
That's not funny.
No, leave the cookies out of it.
But if and some people may say, and I really don't want you going in this room or that room.
Yeah.
And
I think
if
that's
what
okay right now.
Yeah, that's what they feel like, and then that's what I would say to my buyers, that this is one of the expectations. I don't know if you have any particular expectations because your wife is a medical practitioner. Maybe your thoughts on how you would enjoy knowing your house was being shown would be a different set of criteria than somebody that was at high risk, had a respiratory issue, and was 85 years old. I don't know, but anyway, that's my thoughts on that.
If I was 85, I probably would decline showings right now. Or if I had some kind of autoimmune issue, I would probably decline showings. Personally, hey, my wife is a healthcare provider, and so she's kind of in the front lines and probably getting exposed. And so I would just follow the protocol of wear a mask, wear gloves. Here's the Purell. Please don't touch anything. I'll have all the lights on. I don't have any secret rooms that you can't go into. You're welcome to. Which, we've had that in the past where, non-COVID situations where sellers have like a secret room and they don't want people going in it. And, so there's different types of secret rooms. And this is, interesting segue, but a lot of people have built, safe rooms or gun rooms, things, like a hidden room in their house where they keep their valuables or maybe their guns, or, it's a safe room. We've seen these before, and I think it's okay to keep that a secret on the first showing. Eventually somebody's interested, they want to come back. You got to show them the room. But if you just have a bedroom with the door locked and you don't want buyers going in it, and we're in a normal time, that's pretty suspicious. And we had that happen before where they haven't wanted anybody to go in the room. And I just have to say, that's a bad idea. No, whatever secret you're hiding in that room, maybe get a storage unit. I don't know, but it is definitely not what your buyers want to hear. I would love for you to come look at this house, but you can't go in the upstairs bedroom.
Does not inspire confidence.
Yeah, we had Hannibal Lecter hiding some things in there. What's going on? So, but I think these are different times, and I think people would be more understanding of that sort of thing now, whereas in the past, pretty much the buyer ran out of the house because it was creepy.
Yeah. And I think Mike mentioned some really good things, and so did you, Travis, about just keeping the seller safe and the buyer safe, especially with these times of possibly wearing gloves, definitely using Purell, don't touch anything during the showings, wear a mask. There's a lot of things that we could do to accommodate the showings in the homes without compromising the safety or the health of the people who live there. Part of it is no groups more than 10, which I don't think we ever really do in showing homes, but staying 6 feet apart as mandated. So there's
probably leave the kids at home.
Yeah.
Sometimes buyers will want to bring their children to a showing, and I think for now that's probably not advisable for a first look. Right. I think I'd leave the kids at home.
Yep.
And grandma. Leave grandma at home. Leave the kids at home. Really, just the decision makers show up and get a hands-on look at it.
Well, and I think that as they're advising folks to when you go to the grocery store, don't both of you go to the grocery store.
Yeah,
I'm thinking that some of that is to keep the numbers of people in the grocery stores at a minimum. Apparently down south, some aisles are one way, so that people don't pass anymore, and everybody stays a distance apart. But the less exposure, the less people, the less exposure.
Yeah.
And so if my wife is the one who is going to be making the buying decision of our new home, because all I care about is a place to park my boat and a shop. And I want and most of us guys will hold up in a culvert with a big screen TV and a beer fridge. So,
You bet.
it's the ladies that make, come on guys, it's the ladies that really make a house a home. And so but in every topic, one person is more interested in that topic than the other person.
Yeah.
And so if it's the guy, have the guy go see it on the first showing. If it's the gal, have her go see it on the first showing, or whatever. I mean, a single person, it's not that much of a deal. And I don't think anybody would say, well, if I want my partner to come with me, nobody's going to say no.
No.
But I'm just saying, depending on your level of concern for this, we went to the post office today, saw half the people in the post office weren't wearing masks. A lot of them were standing closer than 6 feet. We didn't pick up our package. I don't need to get a communicable disease because I'm picking up some package that I don't even remember what it was I ordered.
It's just a bill anyway, Michael.
It's a bill.
It's just a bill. You died to go pick up the bill. No. That's not how I want to go out, Paid his bills to the last.
Yeah, very good.